going to learn how to do a kind of a galaxy, a spiral galaxy, and we're going to do it in oranges and reds, and we're going to put some like Mars red land underneath. Real simple, real quick, but really effective looking land and galaxy. So we're going to use foam to do parts of the galaxy. So you're going to need a little bit of foam. It doesn't matter if it's on a stick or if it's from a mattress or even if it's from a cigarette filter. Or preferably it's painter's foam from a hardware store. So we're going to use a little bit of that, and we're going to use a Color Place black, which is a nice fine spray that's good for very tight little details and soft shading. But we're also going to use, I've got a Montana hardcore black here, but you could also use a painter's touch black, and you'd be just fine. Probably other kinds of blacks too. Give it a try with Krylon or with whatever blacks you've got. Transparent. I'm using Rust-Oleum Crystal Clear, but you can use other kinds too. I'm going to use white. This is also Montana hardcore white, but you can use your Rust-Oleum white. The anti-rust kind, I think, is the brightest kind and the most sharp, precise spray. So if you're going to use that brand, use the anti-rust, not the painter's touch, or the don't use Color Place for all the white. Oh, it's another white. Okay, I'm going to use some orange colors. Here I've got a kind of a light yellow, and I've got a light orange. This is called amarillo medio, or medium yellow, and naranja signal, or signal orange. If you're using painter's touch, just use orange and yellow. And also Montana rojo vivo intense red. If you're using painter's touch, just use, I believe it's called apple red. And I've got a metallic. This is Krylon metallic red. This is nice for a certain kind of star. And we're going to use our newspaper, which is I use advertisement paper, like I get vitamin advertisements and footwear advertisements and all kinds of stuff I don't use. So I just tear out the pages and I paint with them. That's what I like to paint with, because it's just the right softness for what I'm doing. But you could also just use newspaper, or you could use magazine paper. For the purposes of this painting, we're not doing a lot of complicated newspaper work, so it doesn't matter all that much what newspaper you use. And don't forget your ventilation system and your protection, your spray paint mask. Don't paint without a mask. And some extra poster board, paint spatulas. I believe that's it. Okay, so I'm going to paint it for you, and I'll explain it as I go. So let's do it.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark where my galaxy is going to go with some orange paint. And this is a spiral galaxy, so I start in the middle and I make one spiral, and then I make another spiral. You can look online, for like Hubble telescope images, and check out some spirals and sketch them, and make whatever kind of spiral you want. So on the outside, not all in the middle, but mostly on the outside, I'm putting a little red, which is a bit darker color. Because I want my spiral arms to get a little bit darker color as they go out. And I'll put that same red all over the bottom, because I'm going to make land like Mars kind of land. So I've got my Color Place black here, and I'm using Color Place because it's a very fine spray, and then I can get some nice thin lines and detail with it, and it's also a nice gradual shade. And I'm just filling in the areas inside the spiral arms of the galaxy and around the galaxy. And I don't have to get this exactly, but just approximately where. And that's my Montana black, and I'm using that to fill in the rest of the area because it's shinier. And since I don't need to be quite as precise, I'd rather go for the shine. Okay, so I filled in a little bit of the black inside the spiral, not much. Now I'm going to take my foam, and I'm going to draw the spiral arms with my foam. And I do that by just touching the paint with the foam, basically, and dragging it along. I might move it a little bit, make it a little bit of a bumpy line. It's purely a thing of taste. And then I'll go back and I'll I'll take a little bit more paint off of the center because I want that center to be brighter. And I make sure that I'm using clean areas on my foam to drag the paint so that I'm not dragging darker colors into lighter areas. So I'm just playing with that foam and drawing a galaxy, drawing in the spiral arms. And I got a nice fiery looking spiral galaxy now. And it's that simple. Oh, I'm using a little bit of transparent there because I want to take more paint off. I'm taking a little bit more paint off, getting it even more bright in the center of the galaxy, putting a little bit of detail, maybe a little bit of feathering on those spiral arms. You know, just go look at some galaxies and you figure out what you want to draw. You can draw it with the foam, and the nice thing about the foam is that it creates a nice silky kind of a line, and you can draw any way you want with the paint and make your spiral galaxy with lots of control and precision. Now I'm going to put a little bit of orange in the middle there, brighten that center up a little bit so that the spiral arms are extending out from that orange, and then right in the middle I'm going to put a little circle of white. I don't want a splotch in this case. I want a nice like white, kind of almost a sun. So I'm looking around for my old CD that I don't need, which I use to make suns with, and that hole in the middle of the CD is a really nice thing to use to make a sun. Okay, so I've got my CD and I'm just gonna spray my white. I just need a little bit, and there I have a nice little sun in the center of my galaxy. And I'm going to use a poster board with some holes poked in it to make some stars. All I got to do is poke a hole and then spray. I hold the poster board about 1.5 inches to 2 inches above the paper, and then I hold the paint a couple inches above that, and I give it a spray. And the distance of the paper from the poster board and of the spray from my poster board that with the holes in it is going to control how fuzzy my stars are. So I do some that are closer, some that are farther away. Here I'm doing some that are orangey, and this adds a lot of character to our galaxy. And I could put a little, that's metallic red. If I want to darken the star a little bit and then put a little highlight on it, I can spray some metallic red onto what I've already sprayed and then just put a tiny little star in the center of that, and I get a really nice effect. Much more subtle. So I'm putting some orange stars. And you could put any stars you want. You could put blue ones if you want to. I just chose these colors. But there's all kinds of pretty things you can do. Look for images of galaxies and think about how you could draw them and how the stars would look, you know, with just these very simple techniques. Now I'm going to put some stars that I'm shaking from my spatula, my paint spatula, around the area of the galaxy. And all I do is spray a little bit of white on my spatula and shake it rather vigorously because I want my stars to be kind of small. If I were to shake it just kind of softly, I'd get big gloppy stars. But if I really throw those stars hard, I get nice little small starry looking stars. And I'm going to make my land, so I'm spraying some transparent over that top area where the black and the red meet. And I've got a sheet of advertising paper, and I'm going to push and slide. I'm using a push and slide technique to make the land, where I put the newspaper close to the paper, and then with the fingers on, I hold it with my left hand, and with the fingers on my right hand, I guide the paper as I slide it across, and I press down with either my index finger or my index finger and my ring finger at the same time, depending on what kind of lines I want to make, and I slide the paper as I push down. So there I've applied a bunch of red colors, and now I'm doing the slide and push, and I can control where the newspaper goes with my index finger, and I push it along with my right hand, and it's that simple. So I've added a little bit of color before I did that, so it came out nice and bright. Basically, I put some red and metallic red on is what I did there. So there I'm just making some more stars. I put a white star down, I put some metallic red over it, and then I took my poster board and I put some small white stars on top of it. And I'm doing it again. There's a little bit of white, that's metallic red on top of that, and then find a nice clean empty hole, and I put a little orange in the middle there, a tiny little orange star in the middle of that white with metallic red on it. And there you go, some very nice cosmic effects made very, very simple ways. And you can do just about any galaxy that you want with this technique using foam and using the poster board with little holes poked in it to make stars, and very simple land, just red and black on top, and using the sliding technique with the newspaper, sliding it along, holding it down with the left hand and sliding it along with the right hand. And you know, if you need more detail on the sliding technique for the newspaper, you can. There's other videos. The videos by Gerardo have a lot of land techniques, and I've got a video that it's gonna be part of the spray paint program on how to use newspaper to do the sliding land technique. Okay. So there you have it, and enjoy, and tell me what you come up with and which galaxies you decide to paint, and you know what you were able to do because of this lesson. I'd love to see your work. Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure teaching you.